Hey guys, hope everyone's well. RugbyItch here, along with the Kiwi lads. This is episode 31 of the Rugby Recap, and in today's episode, we will be talking about the Perth Sevens. Before we do so, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing well, Tim. It's been about a month since the last podcast. The
Yeah.
problem with the Sevens, they have it separated out. Sometimes you get two legs back to back and it's ideal. Other times you got to wait about 28 days. I think we've waited 7 weeks or so for this leg of the Sevens, but that has not drowned out the excitement of the Perth Sevens. Of course, normally happening in Sydney, this time Perth. The Aussies, they don't have Hooper, but they want to take out the title on their home turf. And to be honest, with the pools the way that they are, they've probably got a decent chance.
Yeah, no, I mean, anything can happen. I mean, like going off towards the last Sevens that was in, well, it wasn't in Perth actually, because of course this will be the first time the Sevens will be hosted in Perth. But the last one in Australia, of course, was, I believe it was South Africa, New Zealand in the final, and yeah, New Zealand just steamrolled them. So it's going to be one of those where I'm hoping that we have a close kind of encounter when it comes towards these games throughout the whole tournament itself. But yeah, like you said, there's a lot of interesting groups here, which we'll dive into quickly. But before we do, just guys, make sure to like the video, guys, subscribe to our channel, and definitely comment below to let us know who you think will win the tournaments. But yeah, in terms of the pools, we'll start off with Pool A. Again, in Pool A, there's Argentina, there's South Africa, there's Canada, and there's Spain. So again, to be fair, I think out of all the groups we'll talk about today, this is probably the easiest one, I'd say, in terms of the teams that we have involved there. Not just downplaying them, of course. Just you can tell that when you look at the other groups, this is definitely one that it's easier to predict, let's just say, in terms of the two or three teams that may advance through. But yeah, I mean, starting off with you then, like, what's your take on this group?
Well, it's certainly an easier group than Pool C, that is for sure.
Yes.
But, I mean, Argentina, South Africa, both top contenders in the Seven Circuit. Argentina winning the Cape Town Sevens. So I feel like there's going to be, I don't want to say bad blood because Sevens has always played in high spirits and a lot of happy faces out there. But at the end of the day, the Argentines took the South African home trophy. So they're going to want that redemption. They're going to want to beat them badly in the group stages. Spain and Canada, two sides that, to be honest, this year have looked pretty solid at times. Yes, they haven't quite been able to get through to those semis, but we saw Canada in the quarterfinals of Cape Town, so I wouldn't be surprised they can cause one upset in that group perhaps. I mean, last leg, they beat New Zealand, they beat Samoa, but they beat the Blitzboks or the Pumas in this one. And then you got Spain, who also know how to cause an upset. So it should be simple. Argentina and, of course, South Africa going through, but whether it is, we've had a month off. Well, we've had about 7 weeks off. Is there going to be some rust, and can these smaller sides make the most of it?
Exactly, yeah. Even when you look back at it now, like, just going off the teams you've listed, like Canada for sure have had a lot of David versus Goliath wins, I'd say, so far throughout this 7 series. And yeah, I mean, Spain, again, a very solid team. Definitely, I'd say, improved following from last year. But as you mentioned with Argentina, they are obviously the defending champions for the meantime, obviously winning in Cape Town. And again, South Africa, they were obviously the team that won in Dubai. So it's going to be one of those to see it'll be interesting to see what happens now, I'd say, in terms of who will win in Perth, because Perth, again, like I said beforehand, this is the first time. So it's going to be interesting to see if this changes kind of the dynamic in terms of all these teams. But yeah, anyway, in terms of the kind of ones to watch for this group, I'll start with you first. Which player do you have in mind that could stand out in this group in Pool A?
Well, for me, I think you got to look no further than the defending champs, that being Argentina. And for me, I feel like they've got a list of players that you could easily pick. So I'm going to say 3 because main reason is Argentina are a very hard side to find information on in terms of who they've selected. So we're not 100% sure who they have got. But Marcos Maneta, Germain Schultz, Luciano Gonzalez. Those 3 are the danger men for me in this Argentine camp. Of course, you could go with the experience of Gaston Raval. You could look at a couple of those new younger players. But yeah, I think those 3 are the main ones. I've noticed, Tim, since the last time we've talked, you almost do kind of sound Canadian. Just a little bit. Like, I hadn't heard it before, but when you were talking about Canada, I was like, is that his homeland?
Hey. No, but I don't know. Like, I always like to see these videos of like Timmy Hortons or something like that. Like they have like these little slang terms that I find funny. But no, I mean, hey, to be fair, I have been in the past. People have said maybe I have a Canadian accent, but to be fair, what most people when I tell most people my accent, I just say I don't know what it is. I just don't have a clue. It's just more of a.
I think from now on you should say Canadian.
Yeah,
They'll be like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Oh yeah, spot on right there. But no, in terms of the, I guess my kind of ones to watch in this one, I have to go no further than my Bucks, and obviously the return now of Ricardo Duarte now back in the side. I am very excited to see him back because again, I was very shocked actually to not see him from the start. I was like, where is he? Like this feels so strange without him. Like where's it? We're not going to have his try scored, but. Again, a lot of other players have obviously filled in that case in terms of Sheldon Van Vyk and Ryan Estesen or Guabala in that way. So we've been very good, I'd say, in terms of like, and even like Selvin Davis, of course, coming back. But again, with Ricardo Duarte now, he's just the main man. Again, I believe he won an award last year, if I'm mistaken. Like, I'm not sure. It was like I know he scored the most tries in the tournament from last year's Sevens, but. In terms of the series itself, but I think he may have won like an award. I could be wrong in that sense, but maybe in the nominations. But I know that he's a brilliant player and someone that can definitely elevate the Bucks going into this tournament. So yeah, just very happy to obviously have him in there. But yeah, I mean, besides that, we'll move on then towards Pool B. Again, this is where it gets a bit more tricky in terms of the groups, as we do with the likes of Australia, Ireland, Great Britain, and the United States. So, yeah, it's a pretty tricky one. In terms of I guess just in terms of what I think about this group overall, it's a tough group. There's no really going around it. It's a very tough group. Like, again, Australia obviously made it towards the final in the last one. Ireland obviously got towards the semis. I mean, Great Britain, they've been at times, they've got a few surprising wins, I'd say. Some that I didn't think they would get, but they have. So they're a team that you can't really kind of underestimate. And then, yeah, I'd say the U.S. is a team where, to be completely fair, I actually don't think they're probably a team which you would have expected to do well throughout these two tournaments, but they actually haven't in a way that they kind of underperformed in a way in some sense. So they're one that will obviously be looking to kind of bounce back, I'd say, following those the last two tournaments. So yeah, look, it's a tricky group overall. I'm actually not even sure who's in the advanced group, but yeah, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I think the USA, unfortunately for them at the moment, they're just missing too many of those senior players. Yeah. And it seems to really be impacting the way that they play. Great Britain, a bit of an unknown, like you mentioned, had some good performances. Actually had a good 2-match series up against the USA, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. One of the more recent legs, they kind of went back and forth a little bit. Ireland and Australia, that seems to be a matchup that is normally guaranteed to be the quarter or a semi-final. They just always play in the Sevens circuit. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see the rematch of that one a little bit later down the line, but that is if both sides can advance. I think that whoever out of those two sides, I feel like they both will make their way through, but someone, unfortunately, I think will miss out in the quarterfinals. Great Britain or USA, whoever plays better out of those two, I believe will be one of the three or one of the third place advancing teams, because I honestly feel like in that first group with Canada and with Spain, maybe there'll be too much of a gap between their big games up against Pumas and Blitzboks compared to Great Britain and USA, who might keep it just that little bit closer. But overall, I think Australia on home soil, in front of a home crowd, they will want to make sure that they put on a good performance. They'll be disappointed that they lost that Cape Town final, definitely by the margin that they did. 45 points to 12 is not exactly a close game. So they'll want to rematch up against Argentina further down the line. And I think Perth would be the perfect time for them to get it.
Yeah, it definitely was a wide margin in terms of that final for sure. It was kind of just speaks for itself really. But in terms of, I guess, the ones to watch for this pool, I'll start off with it in terms of the, I guess, player that could stand out in this one for what we think. I'm actually going to look towards. There's obviously every team is pretty good actually in this sense, but I'm actually going to look towards Ireland in this one, and I got to go for my guy Terry Kennedy just because he's just a player that again. Oh, were you thinking of him as well? I just think he's
not at all.
He's a player just I've always appreciated. Like he just even I've talked about it in the past as well, but just he's a player that just since he's come back, he's the same exact player to what we saw in the past. Of course, he was a previous top try scorer in this competition. So, yeah, he's definitely keeping that up and obviously scoring a few tries for himself as for what we've seen. So yeah, in terms of my once-watch player for this pool, I'd say Terry Kennedy.
It's a very good pick. I would have almost done that too, but I'm going to switch mine, and I'm going to go for an Australian on home soil, like I said, and I'm going with Nick Maloof, the big man.
I like it.
I feel like he has scored some very handy tries over the last couple legs in crucial moments, and just with that size, his speed as well is very deceptive. So I'm going with him, the big man. And I think in the game, when Australia play Ireland, that's going to be an absolutely awesome one. And it has potential of actually being matched the group stage, I believe, if both sides really do step up.
Yeah, they always do have good matches, I'd say, between those two. Like, again, we saw that obviously in the semi-final in Cape Town. So it's always very close at the end of the day. But
there's normally that comeback, isn't there? One side won't start so well, and then the next side take it back, and then it goes right down to those final moments.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more of you there. But again, going off obviously towards the final group in this, in terms of Pool C, we have Fiji, New Zealand, France, and Samoa. So yeah, this is out of all the three groups, I would definitely say this is the group of death. I'd say if we had to name one, and yeah, that is a tough pool, and it's going to be fascinating to see who kind of comes out on top here, because again, like you said, New Zealand didn't, they had a kind of an Canada beat them, which is kind of an upset in that way. Same with Samoa, so they're obviously looking to kind of rebound in the way and kind of just do better than what they did in Cape Town. France, of course, I think they made it towards did they get to the semis, if I'm not mistaken? I have to look back at that, but I think they got, was it Fiji or France, actually? I have to look back at this now. I think
Fiji finished third after being Ireland in the third place game.
The third and fourth, yeah. So I know France, I think, made it towards the quarters maybe, or even maybe they gone, I have to look up, this is bad of me, guys. I have to look right now, because I think they either had a very disappointing Cape Town Sevens, or they got to like the semis, to what I think. But I think they didn't knock down the group stages. I
have seen they lost the quarterfinal to Fiji.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's one of those like where I guess they'll obviously want revenge in terms of this group as well. That's one that to look out for. But
and they lost to Canada in the quarters, or like the 7th place playoff. Fun fact.
Wow, really?
Canada's just beating everyone.
No, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Canada is like the underdog this year. They've been doing pretty well. Because again, normally it's only not to overshadow them, but the women's side for Canada is like very good actually when it comes towards sevens. But the men's has never been really, I'd say, towards the same level. But this year they've just been off the chart. They've been doing pretty well. So yeah, they can keep that up, of course, and fair play to them. But yeah, again, just going back obviously towards this group. I mean, it's one of those where. Yeah, just like, what's your take on it? Because, like I said, it's a group of death at the end of the day, so it's tough to call.
Samoa can't catch a break, I think is the best way of describing it. Every time we have a league of the sevens, they either have New Zealand, or they have Fiji, or they have both that they have to try and get through to make it to the next stage. I honestly feel like this group, everyone can beat anyone, but it's going to be so important that you're in that top two to secure your spot in the quarters. Teams in third, I feel like this is one of those groups that, because it could be so close, that team will go through. So every point is crucial. Of course, we've got to remember, if you're within 7, you get that bonus point now, which is a new rule that they brought in for this year's sevens. So yeah, definitely want to make sure you're getting every little point that you possibly can, because if you're not, you're getting knocked out of what is a very tough group.
Exactly. But yeah, in terms of your one-to-watch player, in terms of Pool C, who's the player you're kind of looking out for in this one?
Well, I have a few, but I'm going to keep it to just the one. Fun fact about New Zealand, they almost could have made a 7-side of injured players that weren't available for this week. I actually saw it a bit earlier on. Unavailable players due to injury. Listen to this list, Tim.
Okay.
Andrew Newstump, Lewis Ormond, Roderick Solo, Kitiona Vai, Peyton Spencer, Joe Weber, and Tony Nyashu, all unavailable due to injury. That is quite a list. For the women's side of things, they have got 3 injuries for New Zealand, so, it's not going to be any of those players anyway for the players to watch out for. But someone who I do have my eye on is playing for Samoa. And Samoa may not even make it out of the group, but Malani Matavao, back in there after his Rugby World Cup campaign for the Samoans. This will be his first leg. Now, sadly, they don't also have Pilo Maleko, because I feel like he could have been an awesome addition back into the side as well. But they have got Malani Matavao and they have got Yuna Sioni back for the Samoans. And I feel like a few more familiar names for Samoa will actually do them a world of good in this league. Not saying that they will go far, because of course it's very difficult when you're in a group with New Zealand, Fiji, and France, but it might make a little bit of a difference. Might help the points differential.
Exactly. I mean, to be fair, like, more the merrier, really, when it comes towards those experienced players. And if they can help out at the end of the day and get out of this group, then it's good. They've done well in that part. Because again, hopefully it gets a bit, in a weird way, it may become easier actually after they come out of the group, because they may face a team which is obviously weaker. So you never know. You never know. But I guess in terms of my, once watch player for this one, I'm actually looking towards France for this one, because I've been actually very impressed with Aaron Grandier. And I think he's been a great player for the French, and he's just someone who he's a battering ram. I say this for a lot of players, but he's really a battering ram, and his speed is like off the charts. Like, he just really runs around players. He's kind of a player I kind of have a keen eye to look out for, obviously, in this tournament. But I guess kind of to wrap up, of course, because we've kind of talked about all the groups. We now love doing our predictions here, and sometimes it's right, sometimes it's horribly wrong, but we're gonna give it a go, of course. We're just gonna name the 4 teams, of course, that we believe that will advance to the semis, and then we can name the 2 teams who obviously we think will get to the final, and then the winner, of course. So again, we're doing this because at the end of the day, this whole 7 series now, we kind of don't know who gets to the knockout stages, who faces who when it comes to that point, even when it goes to the semis, and so it's a bit of a weird one. So this is the reason why we're kind of doing it this way, just for you guys who don't know the formats and how we predict. But I'll start off with you, of course. So who is the 4 teams that you believe that will make it towards these semis? Well, and then we'll go into talking about the rest.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because I honestly, when you look at Pool C, you could easily say 3 of those 4 teams will make their way to the semi-finals, but I don't think that's how it's going to be able to work out. So for me, I am going to say that Fiji make their way through to the semis.
Okay.
I am going to say that Australia make their way to the semis.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to say that South Africa make their way to the semis. And I'm going to say Argentina make their way to the semis.
Wow, so no New Zealand.
Whoops. Yeah, nah, we won't go with New Zealand, mainly because I mentioned all those players who are injured. And I feel like, to be honest, I just feel like they will have a tough quarterfinal, either up against South Africa. There's a chance that they have to play Fiji in the quarterfinals if they do finish third. It's just an unknown, unfortunately, for them. And I just feel like, unfortunately, they might not get the best draw. So that's why I'm hopeful that they do well, and I'm hoping that I've got it wrong. But, they could be up against someone very tough. Even up against Argentina, I think, would be a very tough matchup for them in the quarters.
Oh, of course. I mean, they're the reigning champions in the moment. But, I mean, it seems like, going off the groups, that you believe that Argentina and South Africa will advance in Pool A. Then you're saying, what, Australia is one of the teams that you said will advance. And then, out of, Ireland, Great Britain, US, who do you think is going to advance in Pool B?
I think Ireland will. But Ireland. I think that probably one of those 2, USA or Great Britain, will also advance.
So who would you say out of them 2, just so I'm curious?
I'll go Great Britain.
Great Britain, okay. And then for Pool C, then you're obviously saying Fiji is one of the teams. So who would then join them?
Because there's 2. Fiji, New Zealand. Hard not to back France, but I'll go Samoa.
Okay. And then, of course, as you said, it'll be Fiji, Australia, South Africa, and Argentina as your 4 teams.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll go.
Interesting. Okay. I think from my point of view, I'm definitely going to go with. I think Argentina you have to go with. I just think they're too good not to go with. I think they have to at least. I'll be very surprised if they don't make it towards these semis. So they're definitely one of the teams I'm thinking of. Gosh, Pool B. Australia is just one of those teams where they're at home. They're going to want to do well.
South
But then
Africa
again,
were
they
at
could.
home though, weren't they? So
Yeah, it's a tough one. Like, I'm trying to feel like in the past, have Australia done like where did they even get to in last year's sevens? Did they even make it to the semis? I think they made it. I will go Australia. I think just because. Oh no! You know what? Oh, I don't know. You know what? Actually, I'm not going to go with Australia. I'm actually not going to go with Australia. I think they actually may disappoint here. I don't know why. I just have a feeling. So I'm not going to include Australia. I'm actually not even. I think Ireland could do something here.
mhm.
Yeah, I'm going to go Ireland.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say Argentina, Ireland. I'm going to then say. Um, uh, I think one team is going to go on a run, which we don't think is going to happen. You know what? I'm actually going to say France. I'm going to go with France here. It's a bold one, but I think they're a team which, like, you either think they're not going to do well or they're going to surprise you. So I'm going for the surprise, and I'm going to go with France as the third team. And then in terms of the fourth team, I haven't chosen New Zealand, Fiji, Australia, or SA. Gosh, I mean,
Those four teams that you just listed could easily be the semis, couldn't they?
yeah, no, exactly. That could be the semi. That could be the four teams out there, and I'm just excluding them right now. But uh, oh, this is tough. This is tough.
What about
See, I want
Canada?
to say I want to say Safa will get through, but I just think that. But I'm also thinking in terms of like I know it's not the same thing, but like how Safka in terms of the Springboks, in terms of 15s, don't have the best of records in Australia. So it's one of those I'm like it's in the back of my mind where we do well here. I'm not sure. But again, we made it to the final last year.
Hmm.
There's Canada as well. You never know. There could be a sleeping giant in the waking. Then there's Australia, New Zealand, Fiji. Just I don't know. It's so tough. You know what? I'm actually gonna go with Safka. I just gonna back them. I'm gonna back them. So I'm gonna go Argentina, Safka, Ireland, and France. So those are the four that I've gone with. So in terms of your four, who do you think will advance towards the final? If you had to pick two.
See, that's once again tricky, isn't it? Because we don't know who's
Yeah,
playing who. But I would probably say Argentina and we could go Argentina, Fiji.
Argentina, Fiji. Ooh.
I think I'm expecting a lot out of Fiji. They've got a couple players also returning. Billy now back into their side. But yeah, it's gonna be tricky because South Africa, once they get on that winning path, it's extremely
Yeah,
hard to derail them. And normally, if sides do beat them, it is only by the thinnest of margins. So
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I'll go Argentina, Fiji,
Okay. Okay.
and to save
And
some time as well, I'll
yeah,
tell you
that's
that
the same.
Argentina make it back to back.
Back and back. Okay, back to back winners. Okay, I like it. I like it. I think in terms of my ones, because I've gone with Argentina, France, gosh, I'm forgetting now, Ireland and Safka. Um, gosh, I don't think Safka will make it to the final this time. I just don't think they will. I think. In a weird way, I think this could be a Northern Hemisphere final. Have Ireland, France, but it feels a bit weird not including a Southern Hemisphere team when it's in Perth as well. Do I go back for South Africa? I don't know, but oh, this is tough. This is tough.
The heat
You know
could
what?
be a
I'm
factor
actually
as well. We should mention about probably 30 degrees Celsius. Currently
yeah,
warm in South Africa.
yeah. Maybe that helps with the conditioning. You never know, but I don't know. It's tough because I actually don't think Argentina are going to do it this time. I don't think they're actually going to get to the final. But in my head, I kind of don't want to say South Africa just because I don't know. I just feel, but they forgot to do what they back. Like they have back. They got.
Mhm.
Uh,
Middleweight title under their belt now as well.
yeah, I just don't know. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, screw it. I'm gonna do it. I'll put SA in it. I'll put SA in it.
Mhm.
And then I'll put. I'm gonna go with France actually to go
Yeah.
in the final as well. And then I don't know. I'm gonna. Yeah, I'll go with Vesa. I'll go with Vesa as the winners.
Well,
I just
that's
think
changed, didn't it?
they're too strong to go. I think if I pair them up against Ireland, then I think Ireland actually could beat them. But France, like they're kind of like they're unpredictable. To be fair, France are unpredictable. So you know
France
what?
are very unpredictable.
They're actually
They're
very
either going
unpredictable.
far or they could be fourth
You
in
know
their
what?
group.
I'm gonna go with France. I'm actually gonna go with France.
You're
I'm
going
gonna
to
say
say
France.
France
I'm
win
gonna
the
say
Perth
France for the whole
Sevens.
thing. They've been very unpredictable in terms of how they'll advance through. But hey, if they do it,
Mm-hmm.
then fair play to them. So I'll say a France after the final, and I'll say France will win it. But
I like it.
yeah, no, well, so we've gone with Argentina for you, France for me. Yeah, I mean, besides that, again, very excited, of course, for this sevens tournaments in Perth. Will be interesting to see how it goes, of course, because, like I said, it is the first time being hosted in this city. It'll be interesting to see if there's a lot of fans there, because not to like downplay it, obviously, before it's happened, but you have to remember that Perth is obviously kind of situated in Australia, kind of far away from the other cities. So it means that a lot of the traveling fans in Australia would have to fly or at least travel via car to it's one of those like where I don't know how it'll be like, but again, whenever
I
we see
know
Western,
I got an email this morning saying there were still tickets available for
really,
HBF Park. So that makes me a
okay.
little bit concerned that
Yeah,
maybe they've made the wrong decision, but
we'll see. I mean, like normally when like what the Western Force play their games, because this is the same stadium. Am I correct? Right? Is this
yeah,
the
they normally get 10 fans.
yeah like
No,
yeah.
they're not bad, the Western Force. They get a few. They get
Yeah,
a
because
few.
what is the actual? Search it up quickly for me. Like, what is the like attend like what is the what I'm going to say like the size of the stadium? Like how
Capacity.
many? Yeah, what's the
It
capacity?
is 20,500.
Okay, I mean that's decent. I'd say I if they can get at least like I don't know, if they can get like 12,000 in there, I think that's pretty good. If they were able to get 12,000, that'd be
Mm.
impressive. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's one of those like where I just don't know. It's the first time ever in Perth, so we don't know kind of how we can't really go off previous events. But hey, whenever the Western Force do play, the crowd actually looks pretty cool actually there. So I don't know. We'll see if they get involved or not. But anyway, we'll leave it there, guys. Obviously, thanks for watching, guys. Again, we'll be doing another episode. We're actually doing a lot more content now for the future, as we are kind of back now with Six Nations and all that. But we will be doing an episode beforehand, kind of talking about kind of I guess the rugby news overall in terms of what's happened within the world of rugby recently and all that. But and we may have a special guest for that, so keep in tune obviously for that one. But yeah, besides that, guys, hope everyone's well. Make sure to like the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel. Check out the Kiwi lads, of course, on his channel. Check out Rugby Itch, myself, and yeah, we'll see you guys next time.